and so that you feel part of the discussion. We'll see how that goes, because we're all hanging out together and with a couple nice guys here. So I'm Yom Tov Glazer. Over here we got
Adin.
Should I say?
Axelbaum.
Adin Axelbaum.
Michael Max.
Michael Max. So I realized we have a smaller class today, so and that other guy might come back, and so we'll have a discussion. And let me just tell you where we're at so far, because we already started the discussion a little bit. And so it's like this: there's this famous question about free will, and that's do we have it or not? Because when you posit the fact that God's running creation and knows he's outside space and time, so he knows exactly what's going to happen. He knows exactly what happened. He knows what's happening. He's outside of time, so what's happening, going to happen, what's happened, and what's happening is all one to him. And since he's all knowing, and since he's running the show, and he's like got this totally under control, so he's setting up our choices for us. But he also knows exactly what we're going to choose. So then do you really have free will? And so the answer is, and this again is a bit of an issue, because a lot of rabbis say you can't answer this question, but there's such a simple answer that I've yet to have someone tell me this is wrong. And I know you have a few questions on this, but the question is, the answer is that you have an experience of free will, or an illusion of free will, but you have it, and God knows exactly what you're going to choose. Like putting a little kid in a room with cookies on the table, and you tell him not to eat the cookies. But you know, the kid's just a little guy, and he can listen, but he probably won't. And now, after a couple episodes, you start to realize this kid keeps eating the cookies. So you decide to film him, and you put a camera in there, and you're in the other room. And you're watching from the other room, and you already know he's gonna eat the cookies. That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna eat the cookies. You tell him not to, but he's gonna. And you set up the trap with the warm cookies there with chocolate chips. But he's experiencing a choice. He's experiencing the choice. Is there really a choice? Well, from our view, watching the camera from the screen outside the room, is he have free will? Does this kid have any free will? He has no free will. He's going to do it exactly. He's going to eat the cookies. Does he experience free will? 100%. So God sets up a situation. We're doing a group discussion on YouTube Live, and you're in the discussion. Okay, we're all in it together. Unless if you're not wanted by the police, you're in this discussion, because we're going to be doing it as a group. So I wish we had more cameras, but it's only my phone. So. And yes, I look a little tired. Thank you very much. So you have an experience. You have this experience of free will, even though it's not real. So let's say God put in front of you, because we're Jewish, he put in front of you, you're really hungry, and he put in front of you pork. And on this side, he put water. Pizza. And you're like, you got to choose which one you're going to go for. So now let's just say you have this pork's forbidden, but let's just say you're a teenager and you're like, no one's looking. I always wondered what pork tastes like. And meanwhile, God put the pork there because he knows you're going to go for it, because that's what you really wanted to know, was what does it taste like? I want to at least know what it tastes like if I'm not going to eat it. What kind of free will is not eating pork if you don't even know what it is. So the guy eats the pork, and he's...
And God knew he was going to eat the pork?
Oh, yeah.
How he knew? Because he...
The only one who didn't know was the guy himself. But he decided to eat the pork. Now, does he have a sin? Has he sinned? Given he's Jewish. Has he sinned? He's 100% sinned. Is he liable now for the sin? 100% liable. Because in the illusion, and God, by the way, made rules in the illusion, which is really, it was also kind of interesting. If you think about, like, can you imagine making an illusion of a world with people with this illusion of free will? Because the whole thing, all there is God, if you've been listening to my classes. All there is God. So he creates an illusion of a world. He's just like, and like, now there's a world. And then he puts in it rules for at least the Jews. Gentiles have 7 rules, but Jews have like 45,000, I think it is. When we counted all the rules in the Rambam, it came out to about 45,000. So anyway, he made all these rules in an illusion. I mean, you think does pork really do anything to you?
Tasty. I assume.
No, but does it actually do anything to you? So there are Kabbalistic things that it says it does, but to a Jew, like it does somehow dampen your antenna system. But without the Kabbalah, it almost seems a little arbitrary. Do you know that Rashi says you're not allowed to say you don't like pork? You know why? Meaning, if you're not allowed to say like, "Oh, pork, oh, that's not kosher, yuck." You have to say no. You have to say pork. I'd love some of that, but God forbids me from eating it. He says that about all prohibition. You have to, when you see something that's forbidden to do, you have to say to yourself, "I'd actually love to do that, but God says no." Not turning your nose up to it, like, "Oh, that's not what we do." No, we would love to do that. It says that when there's something that says that when siblings were prohibited from marrying one another, which that's part of the Gentiles' rules too. By the way, Gentiles don't have just 7 rules; they have any form of incest. Is there's how many forbidden sexual unions are there? Gentiles are prohibited all of them. Mother, Eshes Av, Achos, Bas Eshes Av, Bas Ben, Bas Bas Bas, Uvita, Uvita, Bas Bina, Achos Av, Achoseim, Eshes Av, Achoseim, Eshes Av, Achos Ishto, Im Behemach, Aleach, Acheav, Eshes Nida, Goyim, Amoni, Mitzri, Edomi, Ammonim, Edomim, Mamzer, Saris, the Saris. So there's 37 prohibited sexual unions. Anyway, but we experience free will, and it's a full experience in an illusion, and God knows exactly what we're going to do, and everything's good. And you will, and by the way, you don't have to suffer punishment for bad choices, because you can repent, meaning do tshuva, which is 4 steps. Stop, say, regret, commit. Stop, say, regret, commit. Say that with me. Stop, say, regret, commit.
So I only regret after I stopped.
Well, if you're still doing it, it doesn't make sense to do tshuva, to repent for it. So stop doing what you're doing. Say what you did to God, only to God. Regret is, if I had the clarity then that I do now, I would never have done it. That's regret. If I had the clarity then that I do now, I would never have done it. And then commit is, I'm never doing it again. Now, the fact is, a month later you wind up doing it again. Okay, but at least you were clean for a month. What if you didn't do the 4 steps? Then you'd be doing it every day. And if you do it in a month, you'd say like, wow, that month felt so good and I've just lost it, that feeling. Maybe I'll stop, say, regret, commit, and go for 2 months. Feels good. I like the way I feel when I'm clean. Okay, you had a couple questions. Free will, going to Adi.
I wasn't sure, like, in order to have free will, it needs to be that I can make either choice. And that maybe I'll make this choice, maybe I'll make that choice.
Right.
And Hashem knows the choice we're going to make. He knows it, like the example that you gave is, like, you know a child's going to eat the cookie.
Mm-hmm.
We know a child's going to eat the cookie because in his nature, a child doesn't have 2 choices. He only has 1 choice. So he doesn't have free will, a child, because he doesn't have two choices.
Okay, but you're blowing up my example, but stay with adults. You were with you.
Okay, so if God knows what I'm gonna do, doesn't that mean that I only have one choice? I don't have two choices, even from my perspective. Like my perspective is like it's like a
There's
child
two
with a
choices
cookie
in your
jar.
perspective.
But I get it. God knows that I'm gonna taste pork because He knows that my like for pork is more than my self control. So I only have one choice. Like in order to have free will,
But you don't know that.
I don't know.
We have to set up the situation that you really don't know what you're going to choose,
Meaning
which is the way your life is.
So
Well, it doesn't even have to be totally equal. Things aren't always totally equal. But, you know, I had the choice of praying in a minyan today, like praying with a group, or going to praying with a minyan, or meeting my family in the mountains who went up for an early morning hike. And I almost chose the hike, and then I said, you know what? Do what you're meant to do as a Jew. But I asked 3 different people for advice. I called the kids out in the mountains and said, like, me and my daughter in the mountains with her children. And I was like, what do you think? What do you think? And she's like, everyone said, do what you think is right. And so I went to pray the minyan. I missed the hike.
So you really didn't know which one you would
I
choose?
had no idea. I asked 3 different
How
people.
did God know which one you would choose?
Because he's outside of time.
So
He knows what we're going to be choosing over the next year and 20 years and 30 years. And he knew COVID-19 was coming, and he knew that those people in the Wuhan lab were going to blow it. And
So is it ever possible to make a wrong? I have a couple of questions. Is it ever possible to make a wrong choice? Or we say every choice you've ever made and every choice you ever will make, well, you're supposed to make it.
it's only wrong if it's listed as wrong.
But even if it's listed as wrong, you didn't really choose it
What do you mean?
you did free will.
because we're saying you don't really have free will.
God knew what you were going to choose, but you didn't.
But God chose it for you. Are we saying God chose it for you?
You chose. You have a full experience of choice. You can press the red button, you can press the green button.
Wait, one last thing. Wait, so God only knows that I'm going to choose because He knows the future. He's outside of time. So for Him, the future has already happened.
Yeah.
But that means in like a linear perspective of time, He didn't know. Like God
He doesn't
only
exist
knows
in a
because
linear perspective. In your perspective is linear.
my perspective is linear. So
And that's what you're judged on.
So if like, let's say a future only could exist because there was a present and there was a past. So God only knows my choice because He knows the future. But that means there was a present where He didn't know. Like He only knows because He has a perspective that like the future already took place.
Right.
But meaning in the present, he wouldn't know. Like he only knows because that future already took place. I mean, there must have been a point in time where that future didn't already take place. Because
Not for him.
for Him, the future had always taken place.
Yeah, all these things are in the system, you know, like COVID-19 was known about in year 1830. This is God. God, past, present, and future are one. There's no difference between them. This is our illusion in here. God's totally outside of time.
So we're saying God doesn't necessarily want every decision just because you make a decision doesn't mean God wanted you to make that decision, but all it means is God knew you were going to make that decision, but not that He chose it for you.
Exactly. So let's take out this. So you would ask the second question, like, so then what's this?
That was the point of living.
Right. Right. What's this? Well, what's this all about?
Yeah.
So what is it all about? So situations like this, there is only a spiritual world. That's all there is. meaning this physical world we're in right now is a projection. There's layers and layers of a projection. You know, what are you used to in a projection? A film projector, which has a light, just has a light bulb. Then there's these, today things are digital, but just imagine the slides of film are like, you know, the reel is shooting through in front of the projector, which is blocking the light, shooting out 100 feet to a big movie screen, which is taking that blocked light and it's creating the image on the screen over there, right? So imagine though, instead of just one thin film that's coming off a reel, imagine that it's, okay, here's the light, right? There's the light right there. I can't get my hand there. I have to turn it at a funny angle. There's the light. And then imagine instead of just a thin reel blocking the light, a thin film blocking the light, imagine if it's a long, like plate of inside there where the light has to pass through. Why? Because it's Hashem's light, God's light's like atomic energy. Anything it tries to create, it's going to explode into smithereens. So it needs to be a much bigger filter system. Filter through, filter. And then at the very, very end of this gigantic filtration system, which is all made of malachim, which is the Hebrew term for what's in there and what's it's actually made of. But you get all the way to the other end of the filter system, which you should know has 5 categories. Each one has myriads of levels. The top one's called Adam Kadmon, then there's Atzilus, then there's Beriah, then there's Yitzira, then there's Asiya. And they have these multiple levels. And then at the very other end is us, hey, in this world. Now, have you guys ever seen these toys that they'll sell kids at like a toy store or something where it's got a flashlight at one end and then it's got these like fiber optic little hair type, little plastic, little spaghetti pieces that hang up. And they fan out at the end, and you can see the color that the flashlight's flashing. So if the flashlight's got a red lens, so at the end, you see just a beautiful red roundness of the other end of all the spaghetti pieces, all the fiber optics that come off. It's a kid's toy that for, $2 in a toy store. We're on that other end of this whole, system. We're on the other end of that. But here's the thing, is that spiritually, you are smattered over the whole thing. And the part of you that's conscious down here is the lowest of 5 levels of soul. So your highest level of soul is called the Yechida, and then you have something called a Chaya, and then you have something called a Shuma, and then you have something called a Ruach, and then you have something called a Nefesh. And then the nefesh, at the very bottom of the nefesh, USB cable clicks into your consciousness, in creating your consciousness. If it unclicked right now, if it just went all 4 of us would just go like this. And now you're here and you're like, free will, baby. I got choice. But you don't. And you do, but you don't. But you do, and you make choices. But meanwhile, you're smattered all through those worlds. Which is why, and listen carefully, why when you get a Yetzer Hara to go do something else, when you want to go do something else, other than the right thing, what's it all there for? It's all there only for reward. For reward. And I'll explain what that means in a second. But here's what I wanted to share with you that's powerful, is that when you feel like you want to do something that you probably shouldn't do, when you feel that way, of something you probably shouldn't do, don't forget that you should really have mercy on the fact that you're smattered over 5 gigantic worlds. And maybe it's worth it to have a little cognizance of that. A way of saying that is, let's say there's an aristocratic family in New York. And they're a very high level family. But one of the kids is kind of, he's 16 years old. Now he's got a shaved head. Now he's starting to get tattoos. And the family's like, come on, man. Like, don't you see you're part of something that's like being disgraced here? And the kid, of course, he's just like, to hell with you all, And now the family's got this embarrassment. And the kid himself is like, now he's 35 and he's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? And he's like completely messed it up. Like there's nothing, like he really messed up his whole connection to this much greater thing. Now, that's not a great analogy, but you understand the analogy, is that when you're thinking, hey, I'd really like to eat X, Y, and Z, or do that, or do that, or do something that's, improper, or a sexual urge of some sort, when you're going that direction, it's very good for you to remember that your soul is part of this incredibly giant system, and you have very high levels of yourself. There's very high levels of you that are missing. You understand? There's very high levels of you that are missing, and from the equation. And keep those levels of you in the equation. You understand? Keep them in the equation. Because it's not just here. It's not just here. It's affecting worlds. So, yeah, and there's also another thing. And the other thing is that not only are those 5 worlds there, made of billions of these malachim. Down here, there's also realms. There's mineral, there's vegetable, there's animal, there's human. And a Jew, this is going to be a very cosmic definition of a Jew, but a Jew is made of, a Jew is funneling this light through all the way down to mineral, vegetable, animal, humans. So it turns out that, anyone have a smartphone here? So please do the math. Do the math of 8 billion divided by 14 million.
571.43.
So you have Adin, yeah? You have 500. This is, by the way, I don't know if the math's even, but if we broke it all up even for all the Jews, because there's 14 million Jews and there's 8 billion Gentiles. So you have 571 Gentiles who are getting their sustenance from you. And there's also all kinds of mineral stuff in the creation that's connected directly to your mitzvahs, to your link, your choices. And you have vegetable connected to it, and you have mineral connected to it. Mineral, vegetable, all kinds of animals on the planet are like getting their life force through this Jew called Adin. And then you have the Gentiles, 571 of them. And if they knew your address, like if you went ahead and ate the shark taco, yeah, because shark's not kosher, but you're down in Cabo San Lucas and they're like, shark taco, and you're already had a few tequilas, so you're like, sure, I guess I could eat a shark taco at this point. So all of a sudden, like 571 Gentiles are like, who turned out the lights? Who turned out the lights? But it's not just them. Your light's getting turned out. And the other thing is every Jew is connected to a root soul that has many Jews coming off that one root soul. So each one of us is connected to a root soul with many, many Jews coming off that root soul, just like the Gentiles. And so they're all like, who turned out the lights? And then, but then there's the levels of all the spiritual malachim who are also through you.
Why are they through me?
Because you're in those worlds. You're smattered in those worlds where those worlds are made of the malachim. And so all those malachim are like, what the hell is this guy doing down there with his fish taco? And then the question is, how'd you get here to begin with? How'd you get down here to begin with? Like, what are you doing here? And so the answer is like this. You have, by the way, if it sounds like I'm being very confident about the craziest things you've ever heard in your life, it's because I am. Just kidding. It's not because I'm confident about it. This isn't the world according to me. I sat for thousands of hours with people who like are like the holy of the holy of the holies of the most secret people that you can't get to if you tried. And you could come to him with waving $1 million donation to his, to his synagogue, and he won't even like. And the one who taught me most of my Torah and who taught me everything I'm teaching right now, one time he was making a wedding. He was marrying off a child, and he needed like $50,000 like in the next week. So I brought a guy to his class, and as we're walking in the door, and it's a very secretive class. Like, very few people come to that class, and it's a miracle he even does it in English, because he doesn't do anything in English except for this class. And as we're about to walk up his steps, the guy says, "Oh, I got a phone call." He takes the call, pulls aside, and comes back. He gets off the phone. He says, "Hey, I just made $5 million." I'm like, "What?" He says, "Yeah, I'm in real estate." And, I knew the guy was like mega loaded, but he was like he just made a thing that profited him $5 million. So anyway, we go into the class. We're all sitting, waiting for the Rebbe to arrive, the elder, and I decided I'm going to go into the elder's private little hallway area and wait for him. And so he gets in the hallway, and I point out into the main room where we all sit to learn. I said, "You see that guy over there, that bald guy over there with like, some kippah from the Western Wall folded on his head, I said, he just made $5 million walking in into your stairwell. So please try to connect to him and like translate a little more of being, a little more into English, because I think he could help with the wedding next week." And the Rebbe looks at me with such anger in his eyes. Not real anger, because he doesn't get really angry, but he looks at me with such anger in his eyes for me to feel the anger. And he says, "It's a avodah zarah." Meaning it's idol worship. What you're doing is idol worship. And then he went into the room and he didn't look at the guy for the next 5 hours. He didn't even look at him. Believe me, he didn't get a penny out of that guy. So, how'd we get on this?
Why are we here in the first place?
Why are we
You
talking?
just say where all these ideas came from.
Why are you confident about it?
Yeah, and the reason we know that's true is because you can actually prove that the Torah is true. And by the way, when I'm not filming you. It's just that
I know you're not filming now.
yeah, the group they feel me more if I'm looking at you through this camera. I hope. I don't know. Anyway, the reason we know this is true is because you can actually prove that the 5 books of Moses were not written by man. That's easy to do. I mean, most people never bother to do it, but you can prove it, that a human being didn't write them. Well, if a human being didn't write them, who wrote it? So it was either Martians, like some other planet, or it was God. I'm going to go with God, considering it clearly can predict the future. Everything that's ever happened is basically in there. But it also never explains a single commandment. Did you know the Torah doesn't explain one of the commandments?
No,
No, yeah, what? Which one?
Kibbutz Sukkos Teishvu. So that's kind of like the reason.
Kibbutz Sukkos Teishvu, you should dwell in a sukkah.
You should live in a sukkah.
What's a sukkah?
Teishvu.
What's a sukkah?
Right, we don't know what a sukkah.
We have no idea what a sukkah is. And what does it mean to live in it, you know? What does it mean to live in it? You know, does that mean that's where I go to sleep at night? So you understand, like, nothing's explained.
Right.
Nothing, not one commandment's explained in the whole Torah. So,
If we don't really have free will, what's the point of why are we going through this life experience?
right, I'm gonna get there. I just got sidetracked a little. So we know we can prove the Torah was not written by a man, so therefore it's probably written by God. But it doesn't ever explain how to do the commandments. Many of these commandments have death penalty with no explanation. Malacha doesn't say what malacha is, but it's got death penalty if you do it on the Sabbath. What does that mean exactly?
No, that's clear.
That's pretty clear.
You know
Just
what
because.
means, you know what H is?
Don't. Well, literally, it means don't pass fire from one to another. So I guess you can't light a fire. No lighting fire. Okay. That's probably one. I'm glad you're trying to figure it out, because I always say this, and I'm waiting for someone to say, like, what about this one? So no lighting fire on Shabbos. Yeah, maybe that one's. Hey, good, we got a comment. It says, maybe the Torah, we got more than one. Oh, the same guy. Maybe the Torah doesn't predict the future, but time is simultaneous. So is a living entity directly connected to every blade of grass that ever was, is, and will be? Yeah, that's for sure happening. There's no every blade of grass has a malach above saying grow, meaning there's a blade there while the blade here grows. So they're like, it's like that, 1 to 1. So I'm glad I can see comments here. I wish there was a way to see more comments. Maybe there is. Live chat. All messages visible. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, listen. You can prove the book wasn't written by a Jew. I gotta go to sleep. I'm so tired. You can prove that the book wasn't written by a human being. The book itself doesn't explain any of the commandments, and there we have. So, and it's very clearly telling us that we got to do according to what we're taught, which the rabbis, from Moses to Joshua to the elders to all the way down, is this is how you do all these commandments. Okay? This is how you make the black boxes. This is how you make the cosmic dental floss. This is how you keep Shabbat. This is how you do all these things. So, but the same rabbis that taught us how to do all those things are the ones who taught us these Kabbalistic secrets. So if we're going to trust them for our entire Jewish lives, for all of Jewish history, 3,000 years, if we're going to trust them for the last 3,000 years that this is how you do the Torah, well, why wouldn't we trust them that this is the Kabbalistic reality? This is the spiritual, metaphysical, mystical truth. You got that? That's why I'm so confident about it. It's not an ego thing. I don't know anything I'm saying. I only know what I was taught, and I was taught by. Well, you already heard who I was taught by, and he never ever says anything that he didn't see inside. Everything he's giving us is just from the ancient writings that he was taught and that he reads. But it all comes back to our sages, the elders, and those elders who lived till the destruction of the second temple gave us not only how to keep the commandments, but what are the secrets behind the commandments. What's the secret of the world? How was it made? How does it run? What are all these worlds? And don't forget, the word world in Hebrew is the word hidden. The word world in Hebrew is hidden. Why? Because whatever God makes, he has to hide himself more to make it. Because he is whatever he makes. Whatever God makes, he is. Hey, we got a comment. What is your thought on the similar sounding of atom and atom? Seems the synchronicity has to do with the singular aspect between the two. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And if you don't mind typing what you consider the singular aspect between the two, because I'd like your thoughts on atom and atom. It's pretty cool, though. So let's go back to your question. So what are we doing here? So you ready for this? When you die, you go to a world called the world of souls. Okay? When you die, you go to this world called the world of souls. And the world of souls is to describe it is, it's the vibrational energy that's coming from the light through the system of filter down to here. But your own consciousness has risen up to a certain station there. You're in some level there in the world of souls. And then God determines, for whatever reason, that it's time to come down. Why? Because in a body you have free will. And if you have free will, you can earn reward. And as you earn reward, when you die, you go to a station closer to the light. A higher station. Now, what's interesting is that your station, wherever you go in the world of souls, you don't know there's a higher station. All you see is light above you, and you see you're not that interested down there. Whatever's on that side, you're just like, whatever, Probably 9/11, like all the souls in the world of souls, when 9/11 happened, probably all the souls just kind of went, they're all looking at the light the whole time. Everyone just probably went, and then just went back to the light. How I like to describe this? Have you guys ever been to a large rave or a large concert with a real techno type thing, or a band that really rocks hard? So have you ever been to one that had 30,000 people, like a giant one? Yeah, you never been. So I've been to many of those, and so what happens is after a while the whole place is kind of grooving to the same groove. And there's even bands or DJs or whatever that know how to play that back. There's become this feedback mechanism between them and him. And so there were certain bands that the people themselves would whisper to someone next to them the song they want to hear. And that would come all around the place. That was the trick. And then everyone would intend that. And then the band would, and this is way before cell phones. It's not like someone could send this on a cell phone. I was at these concerts in the 80s and 90s, and then the band would play it. A huge repertoire. We're talking. I'm speaking specifically about the Grateful Dead, so we're talking about 1,000 songs in the repertoire. When they played that song, the crowd would erupt because the crowd was playing the band now. The crowd was determining where this concert was going to go. But you understand, there's a vibrational, undulating wave pattern, that's a sine wave, that's moving through everybody there. And that's in this world. Now, the whole thing's made of vibration. So what happens when you die is you go up into now you're in the wires of the speaker system, so to speak. Only you're not stuck with a body that feels like a burger or hey, she's cute, You're not in that. That's not even part of it anymore. You're in you're just in you don't sleep there, man. You don't have a body, there's no bathroom, there's no clock on the wall, there's no time. Time's only the illusion that we have down here. You're in this tumultuous vibrational light. And your vision of that light is based on your choices you made when using your free will in this world. You understand? That's what you're doing down here. It's making good choices, only making good choices, so that you can make your way back up there. And by the way, whatever stupid choice you make that you did not do tshuva for, you didn't repent for, whatever stupid choices you made down here don't even go up with you, because there's a showering station called Gehenna, where they just give you a power spray down, you get this power spray. It's a little hot, apparently. I think this is what Gentiles translated as hell, but it's totally, Dante's Inferno type of crazy, non-Jewish interpretation of this cleansing space called Gehenna. But in Gehenna, what happens is all the bad moves you make that you did not do tshuva for, and other things didn't atone for by going through, this crash or this bump and bruise or broken leg or whatever stuff, because you can actually go through stuff down here, and everything you go through, even pulling the wrong coin out of your pocket when you're trying to get a quarter, you pulled out a nickel. Even that little thing is a kapartavonot. You say it's kaparsavonot. It was a atonement for something I must have done. And but whatever didn't get washed off, it gets washed off in this like sandblasting world called Gehenna. Why? Because because that stuff attached to your thought, speech, and action. Because the garments of your soul in this world are thought, speech, and action. And so that stuff gets attached, it gets cleaned off in that world. And then, meaning anything negative gets cleaned off. And then everything you did positive, you get into the world of souls and you're just like, and as you're going up, you see your old station that you were in like that you were in like, 80 years ago. I bless you all to live 120. So 120 years ago, you were in that station. You're like going by that station. You're like, hey, there's Sid, my buddy Sid, who I used to be next to for 400 years, meaning 400 Earth years, because you only get brought here when it's absolutely time. You can be in the world of souls for 800 years, 1,000 years, like till you have the right brothers, sisters. Like, we go around with certain constellations of people, and you have to be with them. Those have to be your parents. Those have to be your siblings. That you have to go through certain things down here that are with certain people. And so, anyway, but wherever your station was for 486 years, there's your buddy Sid who was right next to you, and you're like, Sid, and he's just like, Michael, and then you get to your new station, and you're just like clunk, and it's like. And now you're just like, whoa, I thought I was in a high place before. This is totally different. And now you're in this completely like qualitative, quantitative, higher level of undulation inside the world of souls, which is part of the system. And you should know God prefers most of the Jews up there. Sometimes I wonder that's why the Gentiles keep coming after us. It's like they're farmers. Meaning when you're down here, you're like a stalk. And they're always stalking us. So, they're just like, okay, let's get that guy up there. And we're all the Jews are like trying to like stay alive down here because the Gentiles love harvesting us for God. Because God's like this farmer he likes the souls up there. But I want him I love him so much, I want him closer. Oh, but he can't get closer without making choices. So it's like, phew, and you start again in this world.
And so the point of living, you're saying, is the reason why we're here is because we can make choices that will give us reward. God wants us to give us reward, basically, and we have to earn it, and we earn it. But if God wanted us to give us reward, why couldn't He just place our souls in a super high place, and we'd be enjoying all day?
Why do we have to earn it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had that same question. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know why. I know what the rabbis say. The rabbis say,
bread of shame,
bread of shame. They say that that you can't get it free. You gotta earn it. I could just ask why again. Why do you gotta earn it? Like if God so much wants me in a higher position, because it's not like you have necessarily wanting a higher position. You're not in a body with choice and free will and stuff. You're just inside this light, So it's like I want more of it. I wouldn't even be sure if I wanted more of it. I've been in some states of mind where I'm like, I'll hold here, please. So I don't.
Do you think maybe the reason God put psychedelics in this world is so that we can get a taste of it, so that we can get excited about it?
Yeah, maybe. Could be. I don't know. Okay. Someone said too intense for early morning. Let's look at a few comments, see if there's anything we need to pay attention to here. How do I see anyone can tell me how I get to all the comments that were here? Just got 15 people. Hi, the 15 people watching. Mike, you want to help me over here? Maybe there. How do I see my comments?
Tap the screen doesn't do it.
Tab, top chat, sudden messages. All messages are visible. Great. Welcome to chat. Oh, there they are. Thank you. Okay. I'm not even sure what I just did, but good morning, Rabbi. Too intense early morning, but well received. Thank you for the mind blast in the morning, Baruch Hashem. Rabbi Glazer, I'm listening to you in Andover, New Jersey. Okay, great. Thanks for listening to me in Andover, New Jersey. Scientists. Oh, so the guy regarding the atom and the atom sent from a Galaxy phone. Put your name on your phone, bro. Or bro, haha. Also, scientists say that the universe was created by the splitting of one atom. And the future humanity was created by splitting atom and creating Eve. Whoa, cool. I wish I could comment more, but I like that kind of stuff. Okay, everyone, blessings. We've got to about 46 minutes. If you enjoyed this, obviously, please join my channel. Also, you should know I'm on a lot of networks, so if you're trying to join my channel, you might very well be clicking on some network's channel. So find my channel. It's called Rabbi Yom Tov, and click on that one. Okay. Blessings to everyone, and blessings to you in Virginia Beach. All the best, everybody. Shalom.